Hi, I am Michael Santos with michaelsantos.com and prisonprofessor.com. You're going to see me looking around because I'm working on two different screens right now as I'm starting something new. I am not only going to be recording audio, but I'm going to be recording video. Why? Because I recently signed an agreement with the Bureau of Prisons in one institution. It's my hope to spread this message to people in prison across the United States so that individuals who are living without hope will know how they can emerge from prison successfully. And one of the things that I have done recently is I've created this program. It's called the Earning Freedom Mastermind course, and it includes a book that's called Success After Prison: How I Built Assets Worth $1 Million Within 2 years of my release from serving 26 years inside, and how you can succeed too. Now, I know it's a long and cumbersome title, certainly not the type of title that you're going to see on the New York Times bestsellers list, but it is the type of book I really feel confidently that can inspire people in prison. And I want them to not only have the book, but for some of the individuals who are challenged with reading, I also want them to have this video version of the book. I want them to have an audio version because it is my passion and my energy that I'm trying to convey to them that if they start sowing the seeds right now, they can begin preparing for a life of success when they get out. Not only that, but they can also begin influencing the individuals who are overseeing them so that when they come out, so that when they come for opportunities to reduce their security level or to transition into a halfway house, they're in the best possible position. So that's really what all of my coursework is about. But over the next couple of weeks, or perhaps I don't know how long it's going to take me to do it, I'm going to be reading one of the books that I include in this course. Now, the title of the book, again, is Success After Prison, or that's the main title. I'm going to read it word for word, but I'll probably be elaborating because that's kind of what I do. I get kind of into the story. I'm 100% authentic, and I encourage anybody who has any questions or anything like that, they can simply reach out, go to my website at michaelsantos.com, sign up for the newsletter, send me an email. They can go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and they can get all this information for free. If you've got a loved one in prison and you want to order this work, you can get it all through my website at michaelsantos.com. So I'm going to be here's the game plan. I'm going to be recording these episodes in about 20-minute installments so that people could be listening to it on iTunes when they're driving or just in a convenient way. But one will follow the other. I'll be titling them in the show notes and you can link to it and read them, one by one. But I sometimes got to look at this other screen to make sure that my audio is going well, look at this screen to make sure that my video is going well. And as I move forward with this project, you're going to see that I'm going to be reading, which is generally not my style. I like to just, speak into the camera. But I'll do my best to keep you engaged, and I hope that you stick with me. I'll be using my trusty iPhone here to keep track to make sure I don't go over the length of time. Let me just go ahead and start it right now, my stopwatch, so I know I'll go for about 20 minutes, 20, 25 minutes, 15, 30 minutes. We'll just see day by day. And I don't know if I'm going to release these sequentially every day or maybe every other day or maybe 2 a week. We'll see what the market bears, but it's free content for you just to demonstrate that regardless of what challenges you're going through right now, you know that you can come back successfully. I'm living, breathing proof of it, and every individual that I host on the Earning Freedom podcast is also living, breathing proof that regardless of what bad decisions or current circumstances an individual is going through right now, it's never too early, it's never too late to begin sowing seeds that will result in a positive outcome. So here we go. I am starting with the book. I'm going to start with my stopwatch right here, and we are on the mark. Okay. So my name is Michael Santos. I am writing this book in a conversational style, wanting to share the story of my return to society after 26 years as a prisoner. This book isn't about prison. It's about overcoming a struggle, or more precisely, about strategies I used to overcome challenges associated with long-term confinement. Now, I'm not going to spend countless hours editing this manuscript, so if you're the type of reader who cringes at typos, word choice, redundancy, or style, this book may not be the book for you. But I am convinced that we all face struggle or challenge at some point. And anyone can use the same strategies that empowered me to conquer struggle in their life. I'm sure of it. Before I get into the strategies, let me explain why I am writing this book so soon after finishing my prison sentence. So I got to go back to Judge Charles Pyle, a federal judge from Arizona. He reached out to me early in 2015. Now, I didn't know Judge Pyle, but he had heard about my journey and my work to improve outcomes for people who have been to prison. And the judge and his team were coordinating the Ninth Circuit Judicial Conference. It's a major event that would take place later in the year in Sacramento. He expected several hundred leaders from the judicial system, the prison system, and other stakeholders who had devoted their careers to criminal justice. Judge Pyle asked if I would attend the conference as a speaker. Now, as an aside, this isn't in the book, but imagine, it's kind of strange. I was still on supervised release or parole or whatever the judicial term is. I did 26 years inside, and I'm getting these invitations from judges. So my takeaway message from that for you is the decisions that you make at one time can open opportunities that few people would have thought possible later on. So I'll continue with the reading. So since concluding my obligation to the Bureau of Prisons in August of 2013, I've spoken for audiences across the United States, many dozens of times. Now, sometimes those events paid me quite well. Other times I spoke without compensation. In fact, I paid for my airfare to get there and to speak. Why? Because I believed in the cause. I believed that there's an important message to be delivered, and I want to have a role in influencing public opinion. So on one previous occasion, while I was still in the halfway house, I received an invitation to speak to the judges in the Southern District of California. And they wanted me to speak about what happens after the judge sentences an individual to the custody of the Attorney General of the United States. They want to know what happens after that. So I received, after some challenges, I received permission from the Bureau of Prisons, and I flew down to provide my thoughts. So the invitation from Judge Pyle brought my second opportunity to influence judges since my return from prison. And as an aside note, I can tell you that when I went there and I met Judge Pyle, I had an opportunity to have dinner with him and another federal judge, Judge Zapata from Arizona, and it was really just a wonderful experience to sit with federal judges and listen to what they expect of an individual they're sentencing and to listen about what an individual may or may not be able to do as the individual is going before the board. And, that's a different subject, but I just wanted to throw that in there. What an incredible honor it is for an individual like me, a guy who made really bad decisions when he was 20, went to prison, comes out, and now is having dinner with judges. So it's just another sign that says that the seeds that you sow early on can open opportunities that are extraordinarily valuable in the future. In any event, back to the book. I looked forward to the 3-day event in the fall of 2015. So I heard, when I was preparing for it, I heard that Paul Wright, another formerly incarcerated individual, would also present as a speaker. Now, I have known of Paul's work for decades. Since I admired his commitment and discipline so much, I really looked forward not only to the conference, but to meeting Paul Wright. So just to give you a little background, Paul Wright started the award-winning newspaper Prison Legal News while he served a lengthy sentence inside the Washington State prison system. Now, although I had never met Paul previously, his work inspired me for many, many years. Now, when I began my term as a federal prisoner, Paul was beginning a term inside Washington State's prison system. See, a lot of people don't know, but in the United States, we have 53 different criminal justice systems. One for every state in the union, that's 50. One for the District of Columbia, one for the military, and then one for the federal prison system. So Prison Legal News educated others about case law pertaining to prisoners, and the newspaper published commentary, essays, and perceptions about what was going on in jails and prisons across the world. So over the years, Paul grew the distribution of his influential magazine, and prisoners from across the country subscribed. I subscribed. He put a team together in the community, and that team took pains to make sure that the magazine was published on time, printed, mailed to subscribers across the country. Now, a lot of administrators resisted Prison Legal News, and I know that Paul paid a heavy price for his commitment to publishing. But that's why I really respected and admired him, because just because there was a challenge and things were difficult, it didn't stop him from doing what he felt passionate about. And what did he feel passionate about? He felt passionate about improving the outcomes of the prison system for everybody, to make community societies safer, to help individuals who are inside emerge as law-abiding, contributing citizens. And I just really admired that effort. Learned a lot from him, and so I looked forward to meeting him. But so in addition to the newspaper, Paul authored several books, and since his work inspired me over the decades, as I said, I was glad to have finally had the opportunity to meet him at the Sacramento Judicial Conference in the fall of 2015. So after meeting him, Paul and I walked over to a restaurant after the first day of the conference so that we could talk over dinner and get to know each other. And while eating seafood, and the reason I'm telling you all of this relates to the book. In fact, this is all in the introduction of the book. But while eating seafood, we were cracking crab. He was having crab. I think I had a salad because I'm not a big seafood guy. As we were eating, I learned more about his commitment to helping people in prison, about prison legal news and everything else that he's doing. And I was really astounded when he told me that prison legal news reached more than 200,000 people each month. So Paul suggested that I should purchase advertising space to reach more people who might have an interest in or benefit from the books that I wrote about prison, or the people who went through prison, or about coming home from prison. Now, prior to that conversation with Paul Wright, I had never considered purchasing advertising space for my books. And I wrote several books during the 26 years that I served in prison. Initially, I worked with publishers that had their own marketing departments, and they controlled the distribution of the books through their end-user sales force, either selling in conferences or they did advertising, or there were reviews of books in like the New York Times or the Los Angeles Times reviewed some of my books. And, they took care of all the titles that I wrote, so I never had to think about advertising. Now, later in my prison journey, with the advancement of the internet, publishing my own books made more sense for me at that particular stage of my life. Don't necessarily know that'll always be the case, but toward the end of my journey in prison, I was publishing a lot of my own books. And I'll describe that in the chapters to follow. But advertising to a mass audience had never been one of my strategies. So when Paul suggested that I purchased an ad, I asked him more about the process and the readership that he was getting. So prison legal news reaches prisoners in every state, he explained. And in addition to the newspaper that went into prisons, prison legal news reached a wide audience of lawyers and others who were interested in prisons. And since I wanted to support his team's effort with prison legal news, and he convinced me that I could reach more readers, I decided to take a shot. And so I purchased some advertising space with him, and it started running in January and February of 2016. So as Paul and I discussed the different books that I have already written, I realized that I should write a book that people in prison could act upon, right? I want people to take action. So when Paul and I met, I'd been in society for 26 months, and during that time, I'd built an asset portfolio worth more than $1 million. And I thought people in prison would find some value in learning how decisions I made during my imprisonment contributed to opportunities that opened for me, not only in prison, but also when I came back to society. And those opportunities resulted in my return to society differently from the way that anyone would expect for a man who had served multiple decades in prison. So I'd like more people to come out of prison strong, with their dignity intact. And with that end in mind, I decided to write the book, that I'm now reading to you. So besides writing books under my own name while I was incarcerated, I wrote several other books for people with whom I served time. I guess you'd call it ghostwriting. And that work was an important part of my release preparation strategy. And you'll hear about that in the chapters that follow. But since I didn't have access to technology, I had to write each manuscript in longhand with nothing more than a ballpoint pen. Because at the time that I was serving time in the federal system, we didn't have the email core links system. So I did everything by hand, and I'd send them home to my wife. My wife would convert my handwritten pages into a digital format. She'd then print the pages, send them back to me for editing. I'd spend many hours at writing and rewriting and editing. But now that I'm in society, I just don't have that kind of time to invest in this entire process. Why? Because I've got so many other activities I am doing. Not only do I host the Earning Freedom podcast, but I've got my business to run and build. I've got responsibilities. I've got rental properties. You're going to hear about all of that in the chapters that follow. But because of that, I'm just not going to take the time to really polish this manuscript to the extent that I was able to do while I was incarcerated. You can only really do that when you've got a massive income stream coming from the book. But what I can tell you is it'll be 100% authentic. So my goal, again, in writing this book isn't to win any writing awards or to earn distinction for eloquence. I am simply trying to deliver a message and actionable strategies for readers who want to learn how to use their time in ways that will position them for success through prison and beyond. And I'm striving to complete this manuscript, it says here, before the year ends. You see, I started writing this book on December the 4th. Why do I know? Well, in the book, you'll see it says so right on the bottom. And I started on December the 4th, and I made a commitment that I was going to finish the book by the end of the year. And there was a reason that I wanted to do that, which you will hear about. I'm very proud of it because I was going to go make a presentation inside of the federal prison in Atwater to men who were serving very lengthy sentences, some life sentences, and I wanted to inspire them. I wanted those men in Atwater in the federal prison system to know that although they're facing really difficult situation right now, they can begin sowing seeds that would lead to a life of success and relevance and meaning and success and opportunities even while they're in prison, and more importantly, when they come home from prison. Because the reality is, although an individual may have a life sentence, he can sow seeds today to begin positioning himself for success tomorrow. In fact, not too long ago, President Obama commuted the sentences of nearly 100 people, I think, many of whom had life sentences. And at the time, I can tell you 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, those guys never thought they were getting out of prison. Or maybe they did. Maybe they had the hope within to transform their life and to come out successfully. And if they did, maybe the actions that they took while they were incarcerated influenced the president or the president's team to take action and open the doors for them. And so all of this work that we do with the Earning Freedom Mastermind course, all of this work relates to showing people how the decisions we make today can create opportunities for us in the future and successfully. That is certainly what I learned going through the system. I made decisions early on in my journey that made a big difference, not only as those months turned into years and those years turned into decades of imprisonment, but when I came back to society, they really opened up opportunities. So I'm just really kind of ad-libbing now because I've come to the end of the introduction, and I'm going to go ahead and stop this episode right now, this first one, and I'll start another one. Don't know if I'm going to release them day by day or when I'm going to release, but I'm going to record the whole book before I start releasing these, so there's a steady stream coming. But one thing I want to tell you, if you want a digital version of this book, very simple to get, just go to my website at michaelsantos.com. Join my mailing list simply by entering your email address. Join my mailing list, and as soon as you join, I'll send you a free digital copy because the digital copy doesn't cost me anything to produce if you want to read the book. But if you want to have a soft cover book sent to somebody you love that may not have access to the internet or may not have access to iTunes, well, it's very easy to do that also. At michaelsantos.com, you can just go to the order page. I think it's the order or something, purchase books or products or services or store or whatever it's called. You can just go up there and click on that. You'll see all of the books that I wrote, including lesson plans that I wrote, and you can order them right there. And the softcover book will be sent to your loved one if he's in prison or wherever he is. It's really my hope to inspire people in prison, to inspire people in struggle, whether it's a school, a prison, whatever it is. Show people that you can start making decisions today that will position you for success tomorrow. And in the chapters that follow, you're going to see how those strategies that I learned from real masterminds didn't only position me for success in prison, but really positioned me for success outside. I'm going to tell you about that in the next episode. So we'll see you soon. I am Michael Santos with michaelsantos.com and prisonprofessor.com. Visit the site. You're going to see that I've published all this information. I give away more information that I sell, but I'm here to help anybody who is facing challenges, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.